the brutal force, right? Is we using the brutal force, right? All the punching and all the stuff, right? So yes, if you've a big guy. And then also when we talk about from the martial side, or also from the physical side now, that means we have the external training and we have the internal training of martial arts. Now, the external training is mostly the brutal force. So you'll find that a lot of the brutal force, right, is we using the brutal force, right? All the punching and all the stuff, right? So yes, if you're a big guy and you have the brutal force, physical force. If you're a big guy and you have the brutal force, physical force, it works. Of course it works. Very good. That's the yang side. What about the yin side? So like the female or small frame male, we don't have the bulk of the muscle. So that means if some guys try to really muscle you, hurt you, would you like to know how to defend yourself? Would you like to know how to help your family? Okay, so that means the differences of how we utilize or how we train the burst of energy, because that means now we're looking at different energy now. So we have muscular skeletal energy, because exercise is still involved with musculoskeletal system. So all this energy, the internal energy, like we call the dantian qi, it's nothing to do with this muscular skeletal system. Dantian qi, all the qi, the energy, is for biochemical. We talk about self-healing, the gongfa, for health promotion. So people got misinterpreted there, completely we understand. So now when you're talking about the movements, but all the girls, you do have ligaments, you don't have the bulk of muscle. So the bulk of muscle we call lig in Cantonese. That means this is kind of now these are lig, we call, which obviously is the force or the power, right? In the English term. So we can, even now, a lot of people don't understand the differences. Now it's still also muscular, but now, because that is creating by slow twitch muscle fibers. And the girl, you don't have the bulk of muscles, and small frame male as well. Okay, but there's another type, like a yin and yang side. The yang side is the slow twitch muscle fibers, is the bulk of them. Okay, on the other side, very small frame people, you still have that is this fast twitch ligaments fibers. So that means now if you're using a brutal force, okay, quite a slow movement. But if you have a burst of energy like that, okay, and you're from, this is a burst of energy, and that is the ligament contraction, the Dao Yin in Chinese, ancient Chinese term. So all the joints, the ligament being stretched. Now, girls, you can do that, okay? And small frame male, we can do that without the big bulk muscle. So at least we have a chance to defend ourselves through movements, okay? So that is why it's quite so that's why I said training of the body now. So from the martial side tonight, external, we're talking about muscular, of course, it's muscular skeletal system, right? Both of them. But one is the slow twitch muscle, which generate leg, right? It's a brutal force, right? With big bulk of muscles, right? You go to the gym and all these worked out. These are we call external training. The internal training, like a small framed male and female, you don't have that kind of training, and the muscle, is not so big, the bulky. So you're relying on the fast twitch ligaments or the ligaments. Okay, so that's why it's very important when you talk about internal training. We have 13 essences, right? These 13 essences, I'm gonna, break it down for you. Okay, now the 13 essences, which from my 17 years ago when I do my PhD, there was this ancient painting, which is Tang Dynasty, and you can see all the drawings which draw out 2,300 years ago already. And through this drawing, what I've spotted is actually there are a lot of martial things, and the ancient was talking about this 13 essences. So I'm trying to break it down to you tonight, okay? It's because a lot of people don't understand what's 13 essences. It's quite complicated because a few thousand years of knowledge. Try to compress it into a few minutes talking to the main framework, okay? So from the Gong Fa, we call it Gong Fa. The Gong Fa is a methodology for self-healing mostly, right, for health. And we call Quan Fa, the martial side. And we talk about self-defense. Okay, so also the 13 essences, okay? We have the 5 essences out of it. And what do we mean by 5 essences? And where does it come from? Why is it so important in the martial side and on the movement side? Okay, now, so the first 5 essences from the ancient Chinese teaching of I Ching, there are 3 I Ching there, right? The Zhao Yi today is 3,000 years old. Guizhong Yi today, before, I mean, it's 4,000 years ago, Shang Dynasty, and then the Lianshan Yi, that you're looking at the 5,000 years of all the ancient bamboo strip of carving and writing. And that's why we call it pre-heaven. What do we mean by pre-heaven? Why is it so important in relating to all our movement in martial arts as well? Because before the heaven was formed, I mean, Lao Tzu and the I Ching, they talk about the black hole, and also talking about the Big Bang Theory. So we have nothing, from nothing to something, okay, to creation, all right, the creation. So this is why this turned into the pre-heaven is the 6 directions. Though that means I quickly go through it. Many sessions I've spoken about. You have to look back into a video library to find it. So from nothing, the Big Bang, bang, it just explode, yeah? So that means, question to you, which come first? Space or time? Space come first or time come first? Space or time? See, the question has been puzzling people, and this question had always have been, shall we say, people are interested in it. Okay, yeah. So whatever the argument was from different culture, and I don't, particularly know them, so I'm not going to get involved. But from the Chinese written record, 5,000 years, it actually spelled out space come first. Space come first before time. So how are we going to justify that? So if you're looking back at the black hole, right, they call it the wu, nothing. So from nothing to something. So that means when nothing is here, bang, it blow up, isn't it? So when you blow up, the Big Bang Theory, when nothing is there, so nothing moves. There's no space, there is no time. But when bang, when you start Big Bang Theory comes, so that means the minute from nothing to something. So that means from that Big Bang, we're creating distant now. Distant, you start moving. So the distant is space, isn't it? So when you talk about the space, so I mean, boom, when you the explosion come in, you have left and right, the space creating, up and down, space coming in, and backward and forward. Okay, okay. So these are the 3-dimensional direction of forces. So that means up and down, right? You got two, so one pair, okay? Here, left and right, you got two pairs. Backward and forward, you got three pairs. So it's the three pairs. So the ancient Chinese is trying to make it into that kind of, we call it pre-heaven, because before even the, shall we say, cosmos, and before the Big Bang. So they before, when the Big Bang happened, the heaven, obviously the universe started. Okay, so that's 5,000 years ago, have registration. So the sixth direction of movements, that is the space. And when we all know now, even the Big Bang, after the Big Bang, everything moved outwards very fast, very fast. Now, that is the speed. That means the time involved. So 5,000 years ago, the ancient Chinese already recorded that the space comes first, then the time. Without the space, you will not creating the speed of movements. Okay, yeah. So that's why it's very important, right? That's the laws of motions. I know the in Chinese, it's have registration that actually a whole formula that's about 3,000 years ago. Okay, yeah, but that's from the Chinese side. Okay, so the sixth direction, but how we call it five essences, because when you look down, right, you got left and right, you got one pair, 1, 2, forward, go back, 3 and 4. But when you look down, it's the center, and that's why we call it the center, left and right, up and down. It's only 5 points, but because you look down, you don't see the rising and sinking up and down like an elevator, right? Like a lift, you don't see it going up and down. So that's why a lot of people don't understand this 5 essence, how 5 essence represent the 6 direction. But when you actually doing it in the motions, movements, then you will get up and down, up and down, up and down. Very, very important. Do something. Okay. So these, okay, yeah. The Tao give 0, 1. So from 0, 1 from binary code, okay, and the gua, the yao gua, you know, all the stroke, all the Chinese very ancient bagua theories and things, right? We're talking about that already. Okay. So these are the 5 essences. So from all this physical theory, we have to put it into our movements. So from the movements, from the health side, how these movements, we have large circle and we also have small circle. So what do you mean large circle? When you mean small circle? And also we have mixing of circle of how many circles are there? So these are the ancient methods, right? So as a research fellows, okay, that's my job to decode it. That's why I've been reading the classic for 17 years. And that's why I have quite a bit of research done on it. So I'm sharing with you. So that means from left and right, shall we say, now the center, the Big Bang, and you have created left and right. So therefore, left to the right, right to the left, that's one circle, a cycle, right? From the bottom to the up and coming down. Okay, yeah, that's another cycle. From the forward to the backward, okay, also again as a cycle. That means it's 3 circles, 3 cycles. So how are we going to put that kind of teaching, right, into our movements, especially in the muscle side? So